Right now, as you're just sitting here listening to this, there are roughly 38 trillion tiny living microbes inside your belly.
38 trillion. It is just such a massive number to even try to wrap your head around.
It really is. And, well, what we are learning now is that they might actually be the ones deciding if you feel happy today or anxious or just completely, wiped out.
Yeah, it completely shifts how we view our own feelings. Because
Mhm.
think about it, when you wake up and you feel that heavy, anxious dread for no clear reason.
Ugh, that awful morning dread
Yeah.
where you just feel wrong.
Right. Or you have this deep mental fog that just will not lift no matter how early you went to sleep. Society always tells us that it is a mind problem.
Exactly. It's always, you're working too hard or you need to handle your stress better.
Yeah, we are so conditioned to look up at our heads for the answer. Or we just push through feeling guilty that we can't just snap out of it.
I know. I have fallen into that exact trap so many times. You feel like you're doing everything right.
Mm.
You eat your greens, you go to bed on time, but you still feel completely off. And it is just so deeply frustrating. You end up self-medicating with like 4 cups of coffee and pure willpower.
And that willpower eventually runs out because you are fighting the wrong battle.
Right. So the goal of this conversation today, what we really want to explore is this fascinating realization that we have been looking in the wrong place.
We really have. The missing piece of the puzzle might literally be sitting in your stomach right now.
Which brings us to the gut-brain connection. We want to really gently unpack how these tiny microbes control our mental health.
And more than that, how you can gently start to take that control back without adding to your daily stress.
So to make sense of this, we kind of have to reframe how we see the whole body. The brain in your head isn't just sitting up there alone.
No, not at all. It is in constant real-time chatter with what a lot of folks now call the second brain.
I love that term, the second brain. But where exactly is it? Are we talking about the stomach pouch itself?
We're talking about this vast, complex network of nerves that is woven right into the lining of your entire digestive tract.
Wow.
Yeah, and the sheer scale of it is what catches people off guard. There are over 100 million nerve cells down there.
100 million. Wait, is that more than in our spine?
It is. You actually have more nerve cells in your gut than in your entire spinal cord.
That is just wild.
Yeah.
So you have this huge nerve center in your belly and the main brain up top. How are they actually talking?
Well, they are physically tethered together by the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve. I hear about that all the time in wellness circles.
Yeah, it is the longest nerve in the body. It wanders all the way from the base of your brain down through your chest, touching your heart, and then it weaves deeply into your digestive tract.
Okay, let me pause you right there.
Yeah.
Because what I read about how this nerve works totally flipped my understanding upside down.
Oh, about the direction of the signals.
Yes. If we think of that nerve like a huge cable connecting the two brains, I just always assumed the head brain was the boss,
Yeah, right. The CEO sending orders down to the workers.
Exactly. But we are learning that roughly 80% of the chatter on that nerve is going upward, from the gut to the brain.
It is heavily a one-way street going up.
So, does that mean the gut is actually the one giving the orders?
The gut is absolutely driving the conversation. The brain gets way more warnings and updates from the belly than it ever sends down.
Wow. So it's not just a loyal employee, it's really running the show.
It is. And this dense, constant physical link is the exact reason why stress shows up as a physical feeling in your stomach.
Oh, like when you get bad news and your stomach just drops to the floor.
Exactly. Or those intense butterflies before you have to speak in public. That is not just a neat phrase.
It's a real physical event.
Yes. That is the vagus nerve sending distress signals at lightning speed. But it goes both ways.
What do you mean?
Well, if your gut is struggling, if the microbes are off balance, it sends distress signals up to the brain.
And how does the brain interpret that?
It feels it as anxiety or low mood or just this vague sense of dread that you can't quite shake.
That makes so much sense. So if the gut is sending all this data up all day long, what exactly is it sending?
It is sending the very chemicals that build our feelings, things that regulate our joy, our sleep, and our stress.
Because for the longest time, we just assumed those mood chemicals were only made in the head, right?
We did, but now we see that your gut microbes are running a massive chemical factory down there.
And the output of that factory is staggering. I mean, one detail I saw really stopped me in my tracks.
The serotonin numbers.
Yes. Up to 90% of the body's serotonin is made in the gut. 90%. not the brain.
It is a massive shift in how we think about joy. Serotonin is the main chemical that helps us feel calm and happy.
It's what keeps us stable, right?
Exactly. And almost all of it is built by your tiny bacterial roommates.
Wait, so if my gut microbes make all that serotonin, what happens if I eat something that hurts them?
Well, if the workers are gone, the factory stops.
So the serotonin just crashes.
Pretty much. Your brain just doesn't get the supply it needs to keep you feeling okay.
That is, wow, it really changes how you look at a heavy lunch.
It does. And it is not just serotonin. There are specific microbe strains that act like direct mood boosters.
Mood-boosting microbes.
Yeah.
How do they actually do that? Do they just sweat joy into the stomach?
It is actually a beautiful process. When you eat plant fiber, your body cannot break it down alone.
Right.
So these tiny microbes eat the fiber for you, and as they digest it, they create these tiny calming compounds.
Okay, and then what happens to them?
Because they are so incredibly small, they cross right into your blood, travel up to your head, and slip right into the brain.
Oh, wow, so they just bypass all the barriers.
They do, and once they are inside, they directly soothe how your brain cells talk to each other.
So the actual exhaust fumes from our gut bugs are calming our minds in real time.
That is a perfect way to put it, yes.
But, if good microbes can send calming signals, there has to be a flip side, right, when things go wrong.
Unfortunately, yes. And this brings us to a really common struggle. It is what happens when the gut barrier gets weak.
I think people call it a leaky gut, right? How does that tie into our mental health?
Well, this is the root of so much hidden anxiety and deep burnout. The lining of your gut is very delicate.
How delicate are we talking?
It is only one single cell thick.
Just one cell. That seems so fragile.
It is. So when we are under constant pressure, ignoring our body signals, staying up late, staring at screens.
All the things we do when we're stressed.
Right. That delicate lining gets tired. The tiny gaps between the cells get a little too loose.
And things start to slip through.
Exactly. It becomes slightly leaky.
So, let me try to picture this. It's almost like having a tiny tear in your screen door during summer.
That is exactly it.
And a few bugs fly into the house, and the body just completely panics.
Yes. The body sees things in the blood that shouldn't be there, and it sounds the alarm.
Which means inflammation, right?
Right. The immune system creates systemic inflammation to fight off the invaders.
But because blood flows everywhere, that fire doesn't stay in the belly.
No, it travels straight up that vagus nerve highway, right into the brain.
Wow. So the smoke alarm is ringing in the head, even though the fire is in the stomach.
Yes. And once that inflammation hits the brain, it blocks your mood chemicals from working properly.
This just makes so much sense of a feeling that is so hard to describe.
The brain fog.
Yeah, like you might feel mood swings or heavy anxiety for years before your stomach actually hurts.
Exactly. You feel it in your emotions long before you feel it in your digestion.
And because we only treat the head, the actual fire in the belly just keeps burning.
And that unseen fire is why so many people feel like therapy or resting just isn't quite enough.
Okay, I can track the biology of this. The chemicals going up the nerve, the leaky screen door. But to say that microbes are the actual cause of our anxiety and not just a symptom, that feels like a huge leap.
It does feel like a leap, but we have seen things happen that make it impossible to deny.
Like what? Because it's hard to believe a tiny bug can cause a panic attack.
Well, there was an observation made where they actually moved gut microbes from one living body to another.
Okay, I remember reading about this, and it honestly sounds like science fiction.
It really does. They took microbes from donors who were dealing with very heavy clinical anxiety and low moods.
Right.
And they moved those exact microbes into completely healthy, calm animals.
And they didn't change anything else, right? Just the microbes.
Just the microbes. And those calm, healthy subjects suddenly started showing deep anxiety and fear.
They literally caught the low mood through the gut bugs.
They did. And the most amazing part is that it works in reverse, too.
Wait, really?
Yeah. If you take microbes from a calm, steady donor and give them to a very nervous animal,
The anxiety just goes away.
it completely melts away. The animal becomes deeply calm.
Okay, my mind is kind of spinning here. Because if you can transfer fear just by moving bugs around,
It asks a big question, doesn't it?
Yeah. It really does. Like, how much control do we actually have over ourselves?
Yeah.
Are we just moving suits for these microbes?
I know it sounds a bit unsettling, but we shouldn't feel helpless here. You still have your thoughts and your choices.
Right. It's not like they're steering us with tiny steering wheels.
Exactly. But what this shows us is that your mood has a physical baseline, and your gut sets that baseline.
You cannot separate the mind from the soil it grows in.
That is beautifully said. You just can't.
And the real-world impact of this is huge, especially with things we think of as totally normal, like taking medicine.
Yes, the strong gut-clearing medicines we take when we are sick.
I read about this massive look at over 1 million people. They wanted to see what happens to their minds after taking those strong medicines.
Because those medicines do not just target the one bad bug making you cough.
They kind of act like a forest fire, right?
Very much so. They sweep through and wipe out the good, calming microbes right along with the bad ones.
And the mental fallout from that is just undeniable.
What did the numbers show?
Every single time someone took a course of that strong medicine, their risk for deep anxiety spiked in the months after.
Wow.
Yeah. And if someone took it 3 times in a year, their risk for a severe low mood jumped by almost 40%.
That is a massive jump just from trying to get over a cold.
It really is. And there was this one story about a 51-year-old teacher named Marcus that just broke my heart.
Oh, I recall Marcus's story.
He was known as this incredibly warm, steady, patient guy, but he got a stubborn chest bug and had to take 2 heavy rounds of meds.
And his chest cleared up, but his mind just collapsed.
Completely. He got this crushing, heavy sadness.
Yeah.
And he became so short-tempered and angry with his family.
Which was totally out of character for him.
Exactly. And of course, the blood test said he was fine. They just said, oh, you're tired from being sick.
But he knew inside that his actual personality had slipped away.
Yes. He knew he was missing. It wasn't until someone helped him rebuild his gut that he got his life back.
How long did that rebuilding take for him?
It took 5 full months. 5 months of treating his gut like this fragile garden before his normal self finally returned.
That just changes everything about how we see burnout or anger after a long illness.
Right. We just assume the stress of being sick wore us down.
But for Marcus, his actual physical joy factory was burned to the ground. He literally could not feel happy until it grew back.
It's just so powerful to realize that. But it doesn't just stop at stress or sadness.
No, it goes even deeper into who we are.
Yeah, we are finding out that these bugs actually shape how we connect with other people.
The empathy connection, this is one of the most beautiful things we are learning right now.
I couldn't believe this part. There was a specific microbe found in fermented foods, right?
Yes, a very specific little bug. And what they notice is that this microbe talks directly to the brain to release oxytocin.
And oxytocin is the bonding chemical.
Yeah.
It's what we feel when we hug a friend or hold a child.
Exactly. It is the absolute core of human trust and wanting to be around others.
So what happens if that microbe drops too low?
They found that when this bug disappears, the desire to be social just vanishes. People pull away. They isolate.
Wow. But when they gently added the microbe back into the diet,
the oxytocin started flowing again, and the desire to connect came right back.
I am still just sitting with this. Because think about all the times you feel lonely, or you want to cancel plans and hide under a blanket.
We judge ourselves so harshly for that.
We do. We think our brains are broken, or we are failing as friends.
Yeah.
But maybe our bodies are just hungry for some yogurt or kimchi.
I know it sounds almost too simple to say human loneliness is tied to fermented cabbage.
It really does.
But physically, it is true. These tiny bugs have their hands on the dials of how we love and connect.
That is just so hopeful, especially for people who feel really stuck.
Yes. For folks dealing with deep, heavy moods that nothing seems to help.
Like when people try therapy and pills and just nothing shifts.
Right. We call it treatment resistant. And for so long, nobody knew why those tools worked for some but did nothing for others.
But the answer was hiding in the belly the whole time.
Exactly. When they looked closely at folks who weren't getting better, they found their gut gardens were very sparse.
They were missing diversity.
Yes. Mainly, they were missing a specific cooling, calming microbe.
And without that cooling microbe, the gut just stays inflamed.
Right. The fire just keeps burning. And that fire physically damages the pathways in the brain.
So even if a pill is trying to keep the mood chemicals high, the fire is just burning the bridge down.
It is fighting a losing battle.
Which means we have to ask a really gentle but hard question. How many people think they are broken when they really just need to put out the fire in their belly first?
It is a profound realization, but it also gives us such a clear, hopeful path forward.
Because unlike our genes, which we can't change, we can change our gut every single day.
Every single meal is a chance to tend to the garden.
Okay, so let's get into the gentle, everyday ways we can actually do this. How do we feed these microbes without feeling overwhelmed?
The biggest guiding light we have found is simply diversity.
I saw the goal they suggest. Eating 30 different plant foods every single week.
Yes. 30 plants a week is the golden target for a thriving mind and body.
Now, I have to be honest. When I first read 30 plants a week, my chest got tight.
It sounds like a full-time job, doesn't it?
It sounds impossible. Who has the time or the money to prep 30 whole vegetables?
I know. The wellness world can make these things feel so heavy and out of reach, but it is actually a misunderstanding of what counts.
Oh, really? So it's not 30 big salads?
Not at all. It is about microdiversity, tiny additions.
Like what counts as a plant?
Well, a sprinkle of fresh parsley on your soup, that is one.
Okay, that's easy.
A handful of walnuts, that is two. If you normally buy green apples, just buying a red one next time.
Wait, different colors count as different plants?
They absolutely do. They feed totally different bugs.
Yeah.
Spices, seeds, oats, beans, they all count toward the 30.
Oh, that feels so much softer. Just a tiny, ordinary choices, mixing up the inputs.
Exactly. You are just giving your microscopic team a wider variety of tools to work with.
I love that. And beyond just numbers, there are some clear heroes we should invite in, right? Like fermented foods.
Fermented foods are the absolute stars. Yogurt, kefir, traditional miso soup.
I read that adding just a little fermented food every day can lower that body fire in just 1 week.
Just 1 week. It is amazing how fast the body responds to being loved.
And then there are prebiotics, which is basically just the food the bugs eat.
Right. Onions, garlic, leeks, oats. These are the fibers the bugs turn into those calming brain signals.
We also hear a lot about polyphenols.
Yes. Think of those as the high-quality fuel for your gut. Dark berries, green tea, dark chocolate.
Oh, I will always accept an invitation to eat dark chocolate.
Naturally. And lastly, omega-3 fats, like salmon or tiny fish. They directly soothe that leaky screen door in the gut.
But, adding good things doesn't help much if we're still pouring in things that hurt the garden.
Right. We have to gently look at the things that disrupt our peace. Refined sugar is a big one.
Because it feeds the bad bugs, right?
Yes, it feeds the microbes that cause the fire, and it can shift the balance in just a matter of days.
And artificial sweeteners, too. I used to drink those diet sodas thinking I was doing the right thing.
We all did, but those fake sugars actually wear down that delicate one-cell lining we talked about.
Making it more leaky.
Exactly. Along with those highly processed boxed foods, they have chemical mixers that wash away the gut's protective layer.
And, of course, alcohol. Which
Right.
just clears out those exact mood-stabilizing bugs we want to keep.
Yes. But feeding the gut isn't just about food. How we live physically changes the garden, too.
Like how sleep affects it.
Oh, sleep is vital. Your microbes actually have their own sleep cycles.
Wow, they go to sleep when we do.
They do. So when we stay up late staring at our phones, feeling guilty about resting, we confuse them.
And if they're confused, they can't make our serotonin for the next day.
Precisely. It becomes a loop of exhaustion. Getting outside helps too, just breathing air near trees or dirt.
Because we breathe in good environmental bugs.
Yes. But the simplest lifestyle tool, the one that feels almost too easy, is just how we breathe.
10 minutes of slow nasal breathing. When I saw this, I thought, how can breathing change my stomach?
It all comes back to that vagus nerve highway.
Right.
The muscle that pulls air into your lungs, your diaphragm, sits right on top of your stomach.
Okay.
When you take slow, deep breaths through your nose, making your belly rise, you actually massage that nerve.
Oh, physically touching it.
Yes. And that massage sends a strong I am safe signal straight to the brain.
And the brain says, okay, we can turn off the smoke alarms.
Exactly. The immune system calms down, the gut stops being inflamed, and the good bugs can finally grow.
It is just so beautifully connected. It reminds me of the story of Priya.
Oh, Priya's story is a great example of this gentle approach.
She's a busy manager, right? Dealing with this tight, simmering anxiety all day long.
And she didn't try to flip her whole life upside down. That is the key.
Right. No strict diets, no stress. She just added a little glass of kefir. She used a few more spices in her dinner.
And she did her slow breathing before bed.
And within 2 months, her sleep got deeper, and that sharp, jagged edge of her anxiety just softened.
It softened
Yeah.
because she changed the soil. And Suyan had a similar gentle shift, right?
Yeah, Suyan was battling those awful afternoon energy crashes.
Yeah.
Where you just feel like you can't keep your eyes open.
Very relatable.
She just started having warm miso soup. She aimed for her 30 plants, and she breathed. And in 6 weeks, the crashes were just gone.
It proves that healing isn't about rigid perfection or punishing ourselves.
It really isn't. It's just giving your body the raw materials it needs to repair itself.
Which is really the heart of our entire chat today. Your mental health is a full-body system.
You simply cannot treat the mind while ignoring the soil it grows in.
Health is not a place you finally arrive at. It is just a gentle direction you choose, using small daily habits.
Exactly. And once you notice how a stressful week of fast food connects to a sudden, heavy mood,
You stop blaming yourself.
yes, you realize your brain isn't broken, your inner garden is just temporarily hungry.
But as we pull back and look at the big picture, there is a thought here that is just a bit unsettling.
Yeah, it really makes you think. Because if our tiny microbes dictate our stress, our empathy, our joy,
And if our modern, hurried, ultra-processed way of living is quietly starving those exact microbes,
are we all just living through a society-wide, diet-driven shift in human personality without even knowing it?
it is a staggering possibility to consider.
It really is. So tomorrow, if you wake up feeling heavy or anxious for absolutely no clear reason,
Before you blame your mind or feel guilty.
maybe take a quiet second to think about your 38 trillion invisible roommates.
Yeah.
They might just be asking for a little care.
These thoughts, these questions, they don't have to stop here. Wellness Geeks has many more podcasts and videos just like this one. Subscribe to the channel and explore other episodes. They all flow the same gentle way. If this podcast felt genuinely useful to you, share it with even one person in your life. That one share can do a real change in someone's life, and it helps Wellness Geeks reach more people who truly need this. If this brought you real value, please support it with a super thanks. Every small bit of support keeps this channel going strong. Thank you so much for being here.